So I'm going to read a couple of stories for you this morning. So I'll read three angles. State Housing has given further details about the project. The minister has also said that government is committed to completing all the projects. And then the minority has criticized the president over the new project. So let me read the minister's points first. So, citinewsroom.com. Minister for Works and Housing, Francis Asenso Bachi, has emphasized the government's commitment to continuing all ongoing housing projects, including the ones initiated under previous administrations, like the Saglemi housing project. Already, government under President Akufo-Addo has taken steps to complete the Botiman and Asokore Mampong projects, and is actively working to finalize the Saglemi project, in the interest of protecting the public purse. So that's a key point, right? Mr. Asenso Bachi said this at the sword cutting ceremony for the construction of the Pukwasi housing project at the government's new National Affordable Housing Program, NAHP. Regarding the new project, he said the private sector would be responsible for the construction of all the 8,000 units, relieving the taxpayer of additional financial strains. The government will focus on providing land and public infrastructure, including roads, water, electricity, drainage systems, sewage, schools, football pitches, and other commercial centers, amongst others, that are essential for human habitation. These facilities would not only benefit the residents of the housing unit, but also enhance the well-being of the entire community, he said. So that was the minister. So key point, this is a private sector thing. They are building, government is providing infrastructure and land. So they're not going to put your direct money into it. It's the land and the infrastructure that will be supplied. All right. Then State Housing is also adding, again, an interview. So the managing director of State Housing Company, Kwabena Ampofo-Appiah, has justified government's new affordable housing project, indicating that it comes at no cost to the government. He indicated that the government's role in the project was to provide the land, horizontal construction like roads, and then see to the provision of water and electricity, which is fair. SHC role is to be developer for the project. We are just coming in to build and sell to the public. What the government is doing is providing us with horizontal infrastructure for the site and the land at no cost. So by doing that, then we are able to reduce our cost of construction significantly, thereby translating into lower prices for the public, he said. Mr. Appiah told Umaru Sanda Amadu in an interview on Eyewitness News on Tuesday that the new affordable housing project that is expected to be completed within 14 to 18 months would see to the construction of about 8,000 housing units. He indicated that all 7 entities, including the SHC and 6 other private entities seen to the building and selling of these 8,000 units, would sell them at the same price. After completion, it will be about 8,000 units. It is all apartment blocks, and we are doing studios, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and 3 bedroom apartments, he added. He then stated that the 1 bedroom studio would cost 160,000 cedis. So he mentioned cedis. Unlike the document I saw, which was mentioning dollars. 2 bedroom, 250,000 cedis, and 3 bedroom, 350,000 cedis each. All right. So 1 bedroom is 160,000, 2 bedroom is 250,000, 3 bedroom is 350,000. Answering a question as to how people could reach out if they wanted some, the SHCMD said, we already have people.
Hey.
A lot of unions have already signed up to it.
Okay.
The caveat is that there are terms and conditions attached to it, like you can't buy more than one, and we are very strict on this. He also indicated that other people could also reach out for agreements to be reached and processes to begin on owning any of the apartments. So that's the second story. Then the third story, minority slams Akufo-Addo over new affordable housing project. The minority in parliament has said that the sword cutting ceremony for the commencement of the National Affordable Housing Project by the president is unlawful. The president cut the sword on Tuesday to begin work, However, a member of the Works and Housing Committee, Samson Ahi, said the government had failed to provide the details of the agreement to Parliament for approval. This particular project is supposed to be laid in Parliament today, but has not been done, which means that the EPC arrangement has not been approved in Parliament. And so if you have presented such a document to Parliament for approval, it would have been laid. Yet, we are cutting sword to commence work. And this is a slap and disrespect to the government structures. We are raising concerns and we want to know the value of the land, the cost of the on-site infrastructure that the government is supposed to provide as part of the equity in the project. And all these questions must be answered. So, 3 issues. So, Asenso says we will not leave the other projects, right? Even though there are issues with the Saglemi project, he's saying that they will not leave it. and he's saying that the other project that will finish. SHE is saying that the government is only doing the land and the infrastructure. Private people develop this. Something that he says it should have come to Parliament because he wants to know the value of the land, the value of the original construction. All right. So, Nathan, I don't know if that clarifies the initial concern, because during the newspaper review, I think there were concerns around, Charlie, why are we doing a new housing project if we don't finish the old one? Okay. But to the extent that the Saglemi project has been mired in legal controversy, you cannot also sit and wait.
Yeah,
you get me? But what was can you give me more information about that project, the Saglemi one in particular?
Well, if you go back in time, I'll just signpost some very important details. So it was approved by Parliament in October 2012. Now, this was after the consideration of a report of the Joint Committee on Finance and Works and Housing on the project's associated loan agreement. Now, what was the loan agreement? It was between the government and Credit Suisse International for $200 million for the construction of 5,000 affordable housing units. Now, the construction was going to be done by Constructura OAS. Okay? Now, so initially, so that was those were the details. Now, as of the time of the agreement, Ghana's housing deficit was around 1.7 million units. So this was supposed to bridge the gap to a point. Now, the projected total debt service under the project at the time was around $249 million. And then they projected that sales would give us around $251 million. Now, the scope of the project, so like I said, it was supposed to have been 5,000. Now, the scope was reviewed downwards to 1,502, even though the total cost remained at $200 million. So that was really
part of the issue.
Yes, that was the review was mainly the issue. Now, we do know that when government changed and the Akufo-Addo admin took charge, they raised some issues with it, and that's what has led Collins Dowda and many others facing the law, because they said, well, they had caused financial loss to the states, they hadn't managed the project well. Let's not forget, the project between then and now was uninhabited. People were not living there. Yeah. And we've gone to the site. Yeah. We know that the buildings are there. They are just, very, very big sites. Yeah. Some construction has been done. We do know that some of the units have been complete, but nobody.
The government is now saying that they will get private people to buy it, and I think it's as if the government wants to wash its hands of the matter. My concern is the size of the land and the project and the amount of money involved. It would have been nice for it to get some proper closure, but I think for legacy purposes, the government also wants to do their own project, because this project has been sullied by all the allegations. So probably
it's talking about the size of land.
Probably wishful
the
thinking
project
to
sits
think
on
that they will finish
300
this.
acres.
So that's a lot.
300 acres of land.
So it's probably wishful thinking for me to think that project will see the light of day in terms of people inhabiting it. So maybe they want to start on a clean slate. I think the minister's point is interesting. We should hold him to his word. He's saying that the government will finish the Borteman and Asokore Mampong projects and also finalize the Saglemi project. So you see that there are two words here. They will complete the Borteman and Asokore Mampong projects, and then they will finalize the Saglemi. So Saglemi is not a project that they want to touch.
Yeah, but the point is, it was still done in Ghana's name.
Yeah.
Some units have been completed.
Yeah.
And the housing situation as we know it is a stark reality. So I feel that the government needs to find a way of completing that. If people have broken the law and whatever, that's why the courts are there. Yeah. Let them face the music. But I don't think government should have this laissez-faire attitude towards Saglemi and say, oh, it's a bad child, we don't want to touch it. It was done.
I think what they said they want to do is that they would get private people to take over and sell it.
Fine, if that's the plan. That's the plan, they should be up and doing.
Yeah.
Because even if it is not situated, say, in central Accra or whatever, people live there. People do that drive.
And the debt will pay.
Yeah, we will pay anyway.
And Godfrey used to say something that, we make $1 million sound like chicken change. Charlie, 200 and how much?
$200 million. If you work about 251 million or so, just adding sales projections and all.
For me, the challenge is that for 6 years, the buildings have just been sitting there. Nobody's inhabiting them. And so they are probably losing value. They're deteriorating
things are getting spoiled in there.
That's the problem.
You spend more money putting
problem.
it back together.
Yeah. And I'm not sure whether this is just politics, because as you read, the committee knew about this. So, is there not a way we can insulate some of these projects from administrative? Because the matter is in court, I don't want to go into court, but I'm just making a general point, right? Just a general point. No, I'm just saying. So, there's a major project, $200 million. Parliament has approved the project. Maybe Parliament should have a project monitoring committee, which is bipartisan, which can be informing the House regularly.
They do.
So that there could be... Because what I noticed was that this project, the minority will go there on their own and say the project is being wasted. Majority will go on their own. So I didn't see a lot of bipartisan work when it became controversial. So maybe going forward, you could say, for a new project of this kind, we should force because some of the projects will go beyond administrations.
Yes.
Okay. So in terms of making sure that because somebody spent money building houses and nobody's living in the house. Do you get me? And we can't be happy with that. And the fact that the person built the house, we're going to pay the person. We started paying the person.
Yesterday, I think there's a portion of the president's speech where he touched on Saglemi. So maybe we have to go back.
He did. Yeah, but he said that it would have been more expensive to finish
Saglemi
with state money.
$46 million.
So I think a census approach is that I'm not going to spend any extra CD on this project.
So what is the solution to that project?
I think they said they were going to get private sector people to purchase it and agree to pay the loan.
What's the update?
I'm coming. And then the private... No, because we've done this interview in the past. Yes, and the private sector will then... So basically, find a way of servicing the loan and then monetizing the project in a way that only private sector can do. To reduce... So we are cutting our losses.
I think at this point, the government needs to have conversations with entities like Greda, for example. Find out what Greda can do.
Greda has actually been involved in the new one. They are involved in the new one. I don't know about the old one, but they're involved in the new one. So it's an issue.
Yeah, Bernard, you see, let's call a spade a spade. Whether it was going to be expensive to take up the Saglemi thing and make sense of it, right?
As well go in there. You spent $200 million already.
You have spent the money already. You see, this idea that a new government comes, as for the old project is too expensive, or there are issues around it, so let's leave it so that we start a new one. You have how many years left?
2.
Less than 2 years.
1.5.
That's right. Less than 2 years to end your term. And you promised that when you came to office, you were going to ensure efficient and effective use of our resources to return the best possible returns for the people of Ghana. The pun is intended. And here we are, 2 years to the end of your administration. The Mahama people started something. The Mills guys wanted to do XTS. It did not materialize. Rawlings years ago did Snake Flats and all of those things together with the other military regimes. They also did some housing projects. Nkrumah also did his part with Tema and all kinds of things. If we have a project that is there, we have vast portions of land there. Nothing is sitting on them. This same project that you are taking to, Pokwasi, you are going to use land, right? Saglemi, don't we have land there? We have land sitting there, unless, of course, there's some information that we don't know. Land that has not yet been developed, but which forms part of the project site. So you are going to start this new thing somewhere else, expecting to finish it when? With the greatest respect to the people managing this thing, there is no way, in my view, with everything that I know about government projects, for them to finish this thing before December 2020, 24. By which time the government will their mandate will either be renewed or they'll be thrown out of office. And so if, for instance, a new government comes to office in 2025 and says that for the Saglemi thing, I have issues with it, I don't want to deal with it. So they too should go and start their own project.
You mean the Pokwasi one?
Okay, yes, the Pokwasi one. They should
but
go.
The argument is that the Saglemi money was spent, but this one is not. Government is not going to spend any money. This one, the private sector is going to pay for it.
Hold on, they are giving land. Yeah. That's what we are told in the report.
Yeah, that's true.
That land is going away. That is a sunk cost that will not recover, right?
Yeah.
They are also investing in utilities.
Yeah, roads.
Roads and
But that one there, we all need roads. So whether it's
no,
not the
but
problem.
the
it's
point
not the
I'm
problem.
making is that Saglemi,
Yeah.
don't we still have land there?
We do.
Not used.
Yeah, but I'm saying that to the extent that that project is encumbered by the legal complications, the valuation may include portions of the land. So you being a lawyer, if I were a government and I said to you, I want to do a new project, I'm sure your lawyers would say, you know what, the whole 300 acres could be part of the valuation that we could use to offset the debt. So if you go and start a new project on it, you are complicating matters.
Bernard, you see,
So I'm speaking purely from a legal perspective. So
that's okay.
from a good governance political point, what you're saying is on point. But I'm saying that if your lawyer calls you and says, dude, if you're going to touch this project, you understand? Because we don't have all the details, and the matter is also sub judice. The fact that the guys are in court
Yes.
with the minister.
that's an entirely different matter, having to do with whether they properly use our resources, right? The government, the property there, we have interest in it as the people of Ghana.
Yeah.
It is just like
So my point is that but that interest has not been resolved.
Hold on.
So to go and start a new building on it, what would that mean?
No, you see, the interest, the issue in court has to do with whether the public officers
Yes.
who dealt with it
Yes.
acted right by the law, right?
No, I understand
the
that.
courts are going.
But I'm
into
saying
it.
that.
But that doesn't divest our interest.
Yes, but you see, the minister said that they want to finalize the project. He didn't use complete. And that finalize is closure. It's almost like a financial closure of having a private sector person either buy it and resell it or something. So my point is that if you haven't finalized that, there's nothing, you can't do anything about and don't take this as a justification. No. I am saying that if you have an encumbered project on a land and you have not closed what to do with it yet, if you want to start a new project, you can't go back to that same land.
But these people who are running government now, for how long have they been in office?
6 years.
So you are saying that they took over the administration of this nation after 2016 elections. Between then and now, they have not been able to bring a closure to the matter.
That's for them to answer.
So that even if you want to repurpose a part of the land, you can easily do that. You are the government, for God's sake. Government policy changes depending on the circumstances.
Yeah.
But at all times, it must be in the very best interest of the people of Ghana.
So they must take up the liabilities and assets of the previous administration.
Exactly.
We understand that.
So that if the land, there is still a huge portion of land there, what stops the government from saying that, as for this portion of the land, we are repurposing it for this particular project?
Yeah.
But the outstanding issues will still have to be resolved in a court of law. And those that we can go into discussion with the developers, we can go into those discussions to resolve them. But
Would that not further complicate the resolution of the original problem?
When they came, did they not renegotiate Ameri? Is it Ameri or which other deal? What deals did they?
The Ameri deals.
Exactly.
So you're saying within the same spirit they could have done that?
Yes, they could have done it. You see,
Is it a comparable example? Because the power plant is okay. So for a power plant, there are capacity charges. So once the power plant and the agreements take or pay, so once the plant is running, you have to pay. Unlike a house that has not been inhabited yet.
we have lost money because we sank money in there.
Okay.
We have not recovered the money yet.
Let me hear what the president said about this. Two minutes inset. The president yesterday said that the decision to begin a new project instead of continuing Saglemi is because of what he's about to say. So just listen to what he says.
We are aware of the delays and setbacks encountered during the execution of this project. The issues about the scope of work and the money expended on the Saglemi project have been taken to the Criminal Investigations Division of the Ghana Police Service for investigation, which have resulted in criminal judicial proceedings. However, in the meantime, to forestall the project from deteriorating, the Ministry of Works and Housing has actively engaged Cabinet, the Ministry of Finance, and the Office of the Attorney General on the completion of the project. It has been established that, based on these assessments, and having taken into account the project location and viability, Cabinet directed the resourceful Minister for Works and Housing, the Honorable Francis Asensu-Boakye, Member of Parliament for Bantama, quote, to explore the possibility of disposing of the Saglemi housing project covering the 1,506 housing units at the current value to a private sector entity to complete and sell the housing units to the public at no further cost to government, unquote.
So that was the president. So the finalization is what he just described. And he also spoke about the financial cost. So what we could do is also independently assess the options and say, this is an alternative view. Professional bodies could also do this, right? So GREDA or the built environment professionals could say, our independent evaluation and analysis of all the projects suggests that this point the president makes that finishing the old project will be more expensive. Is true or not true? Do you get me? But I take your point. You're making a governance point about the continuity of governance. But I'm also saying that if you are the minister of if you are the minister of housing's lawyer, and you tell him you want to do a new project, and you say you want to finish Saglemi or develop it on Saglemi land versus go to a new land, I'm sure legally when you consider the options, the option he chose legally may make more sense. Do you understand what I'm saying? But there's also the governance angle that you are bringing that, look, you can't begin projects and every time start your own new project when you are encumbered with over 250 million you have not finished servicing. So I take that point as a good governance point.